Picture yourself standing in the middle of a storm. Around you, the noise is deafening. Voices shouting criticism. Doors slamming shut on opportunities you thought were yours. Failures piling up like debris in the wind. Rejection cutting through the air like shards of glass. Everything is chaos. Everything is moving. Everything is loud. But you are still, not frozen, not numb, not pretending the storm isn't there. Still, completely, unshakably still. This is not the stillness of someone who has given up. This is not the quiet of someone who has disconnected from feeling. This is the stillness of someone who has built something inside themselves that the outside world cannot touch. A fortress. An inner architecture so solid, so grounded, that no amount of external chaos can shake its foundation. This is mental untouchability. And by the end of this journey, it will be yours. Right now, you might not believe that. Right now, you might feel like the opposite of untouchable. You might feel raw, exposed, like every harsh word finds its way under your skin, like every setback confirms your worst fears about yourself, like your own mind has turned into a battlefield where thoughts attack you from every direction and you have no defense. You are tired. Tired of being so affected by things that shouldn't matter this much. Tired of replaying conversations in your head for hours, days, weeks. Tired of feeling like your emotions are in control and you are just along for the ride. Tired of the constant vigilance, the hyper-awareness of how others perceive you, the exhausting work of trying to be enough, do enough, prove enough. You are tired of crumbling under pressure when you want to stand firm. You are tired of feeling fragile when you want to feel strong. You are tired of being shaken when you want to be solid. And underneath that exhaustion is something else, something quieter but heavier. Shame. The shame of being too sensitive. The shame of caring too much about what people think. The shame of not being able to just let things go the way everyone else seems to. The shame of breaking down when you think you should be holding it together. You look at other people and they seem untouchable. They seem unbothered. They seem to move through criticism, rejection, and failure like it's nothing. Like they have some kind of shield you were never given. And you wonder what's wrong with you. Why can't you be like that? Why does everything land so hard? Why does it hurt so much? Here is the truth you need to hear before we go any further. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not too sensitive or too emotional or too anything. You are exactly where you are supposed to be right now. And the fact that you feel deeply, that you care, that you are affected by the world around you, is not a flaw. It is not something to be ashamed of. It is the raw material of your transformation. Because mental untouchability is not about becoming someone else. It is not about shutting down your emotions or turning cold or detaching from everything that matters. It is not about building walls so high that nothing can reach you. It is about building something better than walls. It is about becoming someone who feels everything but is controlled by nothing. Someone who can stand in the middle of chaos and remain grounded. Someone who can experience criticism, rejection, failure, and loss without being destroyed by them. Someone who can hold their peace even when the world is trying to take it. This is not numbness. This is power. This is not detachment. This is mastery. This is not about becoming less human. This is about becoming the fullest, strongest, most unshakable version of yourself. And it is possible. Not just for other people. For you. By the end of this audiobook, You will understand why you feel the way you feel. You will know where your mental vulnerability came from and why it has controlled you for so long. You will have a clear framework for understanding your own emotional patterns and a proven system for changing them. You will learn the core technique that stops emotional overwhelm in its tracks, the method that gives you space between what happens and how you respond, the practice that allows you to pause, breathe, and choose your next move instead of reacting from fear, hurt, or anger. You will discover the advanced tools that deepen your resilience, the habits that build mental strength over time, the environmental shifts that protect your peace, the daily practices that turn unshakability from something you try to do into something you simply are. You will understand the science behind it all, how your brain works, how your nervous system responds to stress, how neuroplasticity allows you to rewire old patterns and build new ones, how everything you are learning is grounded in research, neuroscience, and proven psychological principles. You will know how to apply these tools when life gets hard, when the pressure is on, when everything is falling apart, when the stakes are highest and your emotions are most intense. You will learn how to stay calm, composed, and intentional, even when everything inside you wants to break. And most importantly, you will become someone different. Not someone who is trying to be mentally untouchable. Someone who is mentally untouchable. This will not happen overnight. This is not a quick fix or a life hack or a shortcut. This is a complete transformation of how you relate to your own mind, your own emotions, and your own life. It is a rebuilding, a rewiring, a reclaiming of the inner peace and confidence that has always belonged to you, but has been buried under years of conditioning, trauma, and survival. This journey will ask something of you. It will ask you to be honest, to look at the parts of yourself you have been avoiding, to sit with discomfort instead of running from it, to practice even when it is hard, to trust the process even when you do not see immediate results. But in return, it will give you everything. It will give you the ability to move through life without being controlled by other people's opinions, to face rejection without spiraling into self-doubt, to experience failure without letting it define you, to feel your emotions fully without being consumed by them. It will give you relationships that are healthier because you are no longer reacting from wounds, opportunities that are bigger because you are no longer held back by fear, peace that is deeper because you are no longer at war with yourself. It will give you the quiet confidence of someone who knows they can handle whatever comes, the calm presence of someone who is no longer rattled by the small things, the unshakable inner strength of someone who has done the work and built the fortress. This is not about perfection. You will still feel, you will still care, you will still be human, but you will no longer be fragile. You will no longer be at the mercy of every trigger, every criticism, every setback. You will be solid. You will be grounded. You will be untouchable. And here is what that will look like. You will wake up without the weight of anxiety pressing on your chest. You will go through your day without replaying every interaction, analyzing every word, wondering if you said the wrong thing, or did the wrong thing, or were the wrong thing. You will receive criticism and hear it for what it is, feedback or noise, without taking it as a verdict on your worth. You will be rejected, and you will not crumble. You will fail, and you will not spiral. You will face conflict, and you will not shut down. You will feel hurt, and you will not let it harden you. You will stand in the storm and remain still. Not because you do not feel the wind, but because you have built something inside yourself that the wind cannot move. That is the promise of this journey. That is what is waiting for you on the other side of this work. Mental untouchability is not a fantasy. It is not reserved for people who are naturally confident or emotionally gifted or somehow born different. It is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned, it can be practiced, it can be mastered. You are not too far gone, you are not too broken, you are not too sensitive or too damaged or too anything. You are ready, and this is where it begins. Before you can build the fortress, you need to see the battlefield clearly. You need to understand what it has cost you to live without mental resilience, what it feels like, what it takes from you, not to dwell in the pain, but to name it, to recognize it, to stop pretending it is not as hard as it is. Because it is hard. Let me show you what I mean. You wake up in the morning, and the first thing you feel is not peace. It is not calm. It is not the quiet anticipation of a new day. The first thing you feel is a low hum of anxiety vibrating through your chest. Sometimes you cannot even name what you are anxious about. It is just there. A weight, a tightness, a sense that something is wrong or about to go wrong. Before you even get out of bed, your mind is already working, already reviewing yesterday, already preparing for today, already scanning for threats. Did you say something wrong in that conversation? Did they think you were awkward? Did you sound stupid? Did you come across as too much or not enough? The interaction replays in your mind like a film you cannot turn off. You analyze every word, every pause, every expression. You search for proof that you messed up, and you always find it. Because when you are looking for evidence that you are not enough, your mind will build the case. You get up, you go through the motions, but underneath everything you do, there is this constant static, this background noise of worry and self-doubt that never fully goes away. You check your phone and your heart rate spikes. A message from your boss, a text from a friend that feels slightly off, a comment on something you posted that could be interpreted as critical. Each notification is a potential threat. Each interaction is a test you are not sure you will pass. You read tone into everything. You assume the worst. You brace yourself. Because when you are mentally vulnerable, the world feels dangerous. Not physically dangerous, emotionally dangerous. Every conversation is a minefield. Every decision is a risk. Every moment of visibility is an opportunity to be judged, rejected, or hurt. And the worst part? One comment can ruin everything. Someone says something critical, not cruel, not even intentionally hurtful. Just a passing remark, a piece of feedback, a joke that lands wrong. And it does not just sting, it detonates. Suddenly, your entire day is colored by that one moment. You cannot focus. You cannot let it go. It loops in your mind, over and over, growing larger with each replay. You dissect it. You imagine what you should have said. You catastrophize what it means about you, about your worth, about your future. That one comment becomes proof. Proof that you are not good enough. Proof that people see through you. Proof that you were right to doubt yourself all along. And rejection? Rejection does not feel like a closed door. It feels like a verdict. You apply for the job and you do not get it. You are not just disappointed. You are devastated. Because it is not just about the job. It is about what the rejection means. It means you are not qualified, not capable, not worthy. It confirms every fear you have ever had about yourself. You ask someone out and they say no. You do not just feel awkward. You feel humiliated. Because the rejection is not just about them not being interested. It is about you being fundamentally unlovable, undesirable, not enough. You put your work out into the world and it gets criticized or ignored. You do not just feel discouraged, you feel exposed, ashamed, like you never should have tried in the first place. Rejection, when you are mentally vulnerable, is not just an external event. It is an internal collapse. It activates every wound, every insecurity, every piece of evidence you have been collecting that you do not measure up. And stress? Stress does not just visit. It moves in. It is not something that comes and goes based on external circumstances. It is your baseline, your default state. You carry it with you everywhere, in your jaw, in your shoulders, in your chest, in the pit of your stomach. You are always on edge, always waiting for the other shoe to drop, always bracing for the next thing that will go wrong. Even when things are going well, you cannot relax, because you know it will not last. You know something will happen. Something always happens. So you stay vigilant, you stay tense, you stay ready. And it exhausts you. This kind of mental vulnerability does not just affect how you feel. It affects everything. It affects your relationships. You are too sensitive. You know you are. People have told you. You overreact to small things. You take things personally that were not meant that way. You need constant reassurance. You read into silences. You interpret distance as rejection. You create conflict where there is none, because your nervous system is always scanning for danger. Your partner says they need space, and you spiral. Your friend does not text back right away, and you assume they are upset with you. Your coworker gives you feedback, and you shut down or get defensive. You are exhausting to be around. Not because you are a bad person, but because your emotional reactivity demands so much energy from the people who love you. They have to walk on eggshells. They have to manage your feelings. They have to reassure you over and over that they are not leaving. They are not mad. They still care. And eventually, some of them do leave. Not because they do not love you, but because they cannot carry the weight of your emotional volatility anymore. It affects your opportunities. You avoid risk. You play small. You do not apply for the job because you are sure you will not get it. You do not pitch the idea because you are afraid of being shot down. You do not put your work out there because you cannot handle the possibility of criticism or rejection. You stay in situations that do not serve you because the fear of change is greater than the discomfort of staying. You stay in the job that drains you, the relationship that diminishes you, the city that makes you miserable, because at least you know what to expect. At least you are safe from the unknown. You watch other people take chances and succeed, and you tell yourself they are just different. Braver, more talented, more deserving. You do not see that the only difference is that they have learned to tolerate discomfort, and you have not. So you stay stuck, not because you lack potential, but because your mental vulnerability keeps you trapped in the smallest, safest version of your life. It affects your energy. You are tired. All the time. Not just physically, emotionally, mentally. The constant vigilance, the endless rumination, the emotional roller coaster. It drains you. You do not have energy for your goals because you are spending all your energy managing your emotions. You do not have bandwidth for growth because you are using all your bandwidth just to survive the day. You are not lazy. You are not unmotivated. you are depleted. Because being mentally vulnerable is like running a marathon every single day, except you never signed up for the race. You never trained for it. And there is no finish line. And here is the thing that makes it all worse. You blame yourself. You think there is something wrong with you. You think you are too sensitive, too emotional, too weak. You compare yourself to people who seem unbothered, and you wonder why you cannot just be like that. Why you cannot just let things go. Why everything has to be so hard. You are ashamed of your own feelings. You try to suppress them. You try to logic your way out of them. You tell yourself to toughen up, to get over it, to stop being so dramatic. But it does not work, because you cannot think your way out of a nervous system problem. You cannot shame yourself into resilience. You cannot force yourself to be mentally strong through sheer willpower. And so the cycle continues. You react, you regret it, you promise yourself you will do better next time, and then next time comes and you react again. Because nothing has actually changed. You are still operating from the same patterns, the same wiring, the same survival mode that has been running your life for years. This is what it means to be mentally vulnerable. This is the weight you have been carrying, the exhaustion, the shame, the smallness, the constant, relentless inner turmoil that makes everything harder than it needs to be. But here is what you need to understand. This is not your fault. This is not a character flaw. This is not a sign of weakness. This is not evidence that you are broken or damaged or less than. This is what happens when you were never taught how to build mental strength. No one sat you down and explained how your nervous system works. No one taught you how to regulate your emotions. No one showed you how to create space between what happens and how you respond. No one gave you the tools to protect your inner world from the chaos of the outer world. You were expected to just figure it out, to just be resilient, to just handle it. But resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you build. And if no one taught you how to build it, of course you do not have it. The problem is not you. The problem is that you are trying to navigate life without the skills, tools, and framework that make mental strength possible. You are not too sensitive. You are under-resourced. You are not too emotional. You are dysregulated. You are not too weak. You are untrained. And that changes everything. Because if this is a skill issue and not a character issue, then it can be solved. It can be learned. It can be changed. You do not have to live like this. You do not have to wake up anxious, replay conversations for hours, crumble under criticism, avoid opportunities, or exhaust yourself trying to manage emotions that feel unmanageable. You can build something different, something stronger, something that protects you from the inside out. But first, you have to stop blaming yourself for not having what no one ever gave you. You have to stop seeing your mental vulnerability as a personal failure and start seeing it for what it really is: a gap, a missing foundation, a skill set you were never taught, and now you are going to learn it. Now that you understand what mental vulnerability looks like, you need to understand where it came from. Because this did not start with you. This started long before you were aware enough to choose it, long before you had the language to name it, long before you even knew there was another way to be. Your mind became a battlefield for a reason, and that reason has nothing to do with your worth, your character, or your strength. It has everything to do with how your brain was designed and how your nervous system was trained. Let me explain. Your brain has one primary job: not to make you happy, not to make you successful, not even to make you feel good. Its job is to keep you alive. And to do that, it has developed an extraordinary system for detecting threat. Your brain is constantly scanning your environment, looking for anything that might harm you. This happens automatically, beneath your conscious awareness, every single second of every single day. This system is called the threat detection system, and it is incredibly sensitive. It has to be, because in our evolutionary past, the cost of missing a threat was death. If your ancestor heard a rustling in the bushes and assumed it was nothing, and it turned out to be a predator, that was it. Game over. No second chances. But if your ancestor heard a rustling in the bushes and assumed it was a predator, even when it was just the wind, the cost was minimal. A little unnecessary stress. A moment of fear. But they survived. So over thousands of generations, the brains that survived were the ones that erred on the side of caution. The ones that assumed threat even when there was none. The ones that stayed hypervigilant. The ones that never fully relaxed. And that is the brain you inherited. A brain that is wired to prioritize survival over everything else. A brain that is hypersensitive to anything that resembles danger. A brain that would rather make you anxious 100 times unnecessarily than fail to alert you the one time the threat is real. But here is the problem. In the modern world, the threats are different. You are not being chased by predators. You are not worried about finding food or shelter. The dangers you face are not physical. They are social, emotional, psychological, rejection, criticism, failure, judgment, exclusion. And your brain treats these threats the same way it would treat a physical predator. It activates the same alarm system. It floods your body with the same stress hormones. It triggers the same survival responses. Fight, flight, freeze. Your heart races. Your thoughts spiral. Your body tenses. You feel the overwhelming urge to defend yourself, run away, or shut down completely. This is not a choice. This is not you being dramatic or weak or overly sensitive. This is your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do, protecting you from perceived danger. But the danger is not actually there, not in the way your brain thinks it is. A critical comment is not a predator. Rejection is not a life or death situation. Failure is not a mortal wound. But your brain does not know that. It only knows threat, and it responds accordingly. This is the first layer of why your mind became a battlefield. You were born with a nervous system that is biased toward fear, vigilance, and survival. That is not your fault. That is biology. But there is a second layer, and this one is even more important. Your nervous system is not just shaped by evolution. It is shaped by experience, specifically by your early experiences, by the environment you grew up in, by the people who raised you, by the messages you received about yourself and the world. This is called conditioning, and it is one of the most powerful forces in shaping who you become. When you were a child, your nervous system was like wet cement, impressionable, moldable. Every experience left a mark. Every interaction taught you something about safety, trust, and how to navigate the world. If your environment was stable, predictable, and safe, your nervous system learned to relax. It learned that the world is generally okay, that people can be trusted, that you are safe, that you can handle challenges without falling apart. But if your environment was unstable, unpredictable, or unsafe, your nervous system learned something very different. It learned to stay on high alert. It learned that the world is dangerous, that people cannot be trusted, that you are not safe, that you need to be vigilant at all times to protect yourself. Maybe your parents were critical. Nothing you did was ever good enough. Every mistake was pointed out. Every flaw was highlighted. You learned that love was conditional, that you had to earn approval, that being yourself was not acceptable. So your nervous system adapted. It learned to scan constantly for signs of disapproval. It learned to fear criticism. It learned to play small to avoid being targeted. Maybe your parents were neglectful, physically present but emotionally absent. You needed comfort and no one came. You needed attention and no one noticed. You learned that your needs do not matter, that you are alone, that no one is coming to help you. So your nervous system adapted. It learned to suppress your needs. It learned to be hyper-independent. It learned that reaching out is pointless because no one will respond. Maybe your environment was chaotic, unpredictable. You never knew what version of your parent you would get. Happy one moment, explosive the next. Loving one day, cold the next. You learned that the world is unstable, that you cannot trust what you see, that safety is temporary and danger is always lurking. So your nervous system adapted. It learned to stay hypervigilant. It learned to read micro-expressions and shifts in tone. It learned to brace for the next storm because the calm never lasts. This is not your fault. You were a child. You did not choose the environment you grew up in. You did not choose the nervous system you developed. You were just trying to survive in the world you were given. And your nervous system did exactly what it was supposed to do. It adapted. It learned. It kept you alive. But the patterns that helped you survive as a child are now hurting you as an adult. The hypervigilance that protected you in an unstable home now makes you anxious in stable environments. The people-pleasing that kept you safe from criticism now keeps you from being yourself. The emotional suppression that helped you cope with neglect now keeps you disconnected from your own needs. This is called emotional dysregulation, and it is at the core of mental vulnerability. Emotional dysregulation means your internal world is unstable because your external world was unstable. Your nervous system never learned how to come back to baseline. It learned to stay activated, to stay in defense mode, to always be ready for the next threat. So now, as an adult, even when the threat is not real, your body responds as if it is. A minor criticism feels like an attack. A small conflict feels like a catastrophe. A moment of stress feels like the end of the world. Your emotions are not proportional to the situation. They are proportional to the unresolved patterns stored in your nervous system. And here is where it gets even harder. Modern life amplifies all of this. You are not just dealing with your evolutionary wiring and your childhood conditioning. You are also dealing with a culture that is designed to keep you dysregulated. Social media shows you a curated highlight reel of everyone else's life and asks you to compare your behind the scenes to their best moments. You see their success and feel your inadequacy. You see their beauty and feel your flaws. You see their confidence and feel your insecurity. And the algorithm knows this. It knows that comparison drives engagement, that envy keeps you scrolling, that feeling less than keeps you coming back for more. You are bombarded with messages that tell you that you are not enough, not successful enough, not attractive enough, not productive enough, not happy enough. And here is the product, the service, the lifestyle that will finally make you enough. Except it never does, because the game is rigged. The goal is not to make you feel better. The goal is to keep you chasing. And while you are chasing, you are dysregulated, anxious, comparing, judging yourself, feeling like you are falling behind. On top of that, you live in a culture that rewards perfection and punishes vulnerability. You are taught to have it all together, to be strong, to never let them see you sweat, to hustle harder, grind longer, do more, be more. Weakness is failure, emotion is weakness, asking for help is admitting defeat. So you pretend, you perform, you put on the mask and hope no one sees the cracks underneath. But the cracks are there, and the more you ignore them, the wider they grow. This is the environment you are trying to build mental resilience in, an environment that is actively working against you, an environment that profits from your insecurity, glorifies your stress, and punishes your humanity. No wonder you feel mentally vulnerable. No wonder you are exhausted. No wonder you cannot just let things go. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not too sensitive. You are a nervous system stuck in defense mode, shaped by evolutionary biology, conditioned by early experiences, and amplified by a culture that does not care about your well-being. This is not your fault. But here is the truth that changes everything. Even though you did not choose this, you can choose something different now. You cannot change your evolutionary wiring. You cannot go back and change your childhood. You cannot dismantle the systems and structures of modern life. But you can rewire your nervous system. You can retrain your responses. You can build new patterns that serve you instead of sabotage you. This is not about fixing what is broken, because you are not broken. This is about updating what is outdated, about replacing survival patterns that no longer serve you with resilience patterns that do. Your nervous system learned to be hypervigilant. It can learn to be calm. Your brain learned to catastrophize. It can learn to reframe. Your body learned to stay tense. It can learn to release. Neuroplasticity is real. The brain you have is not the brain you are stuck with. Every experience, every practice, every moment of regulation is reshaping your neural pathways. You are not a finished product. You are a work in progress, and the work you are about to do will change everything. But first, you have to let go of the shame. You have to stop seeing your mental vulnerability as evidence of personal failure and start seeing it as evidence of a nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not too broken. You are a survivor. And now, you are becoming something more. Now that you understand where your mental vulnerability came from, you need to understand where you are going. Because transformation is not a single leap. It is not one insight, one practice, one moment of clarity that changes everything overnight. It is a journey, a progression through stages, a gradual shift from one way of being to another. And the beautiful thing about a journey is that once you know the map, you know where you are, you know where you are going, and you know that every step forward, no matter how small, is moving you closer to the person you are becoming. So let me give you the map. There are 4 stages of mental untouchability, 4 distinct phases that mark your evolution from fragility to fortress. Each stage has its own characteristics, its own challenges, its own breakthroughs, and you will move through each one at your own pace, in your own time. This is not a race. This is not about speed. This is about progress. And progress, no matter how slow, is still progress. Right now, you are somewhere on this path. Maybe you are at the beginning. Maybe you are further along than you think. But wherever you are, You are exactly where you need to be. And from here, you will move forward. Let me show you what each stage looks like, what it feels like, how you will know when you are in it, and what shifts as you move from one stage to the next. Stage 1 is the reactive state. This is where most people live. This is where you have been living. And there is no shame in that. This is simply what happens when you have never been taught another way. In the reactive state, you are controlled by your emotions. You do not choose how you feel. You do not choose how you respond. Your emotions happen to you, and you react, automatically, immediately, without thought. Someone criticizes you, and you feel the sting instantly. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts spiral. You defend yourself, or shut down, or lash out. You do not decide to do this. It just happens. The trigger pulls and you fire. Someone rejects you, and you crumble. The pain is immediate and overwhelming. You replay the moment over and over. You search for what you did wrong. You catastrophize what it means about you. You cannot let it go. You cannot move on. The emotion owns you. Something stressful happens, and your entire system goes into overdrive. Your heart races. Your thoughts scatter. You feel panic rising in your chest. You cannot think clearly. You cannot calm down. You are swept away by the wave, and you do not know how to get back to shore. This is the reactive state, and it feels chaotic, unpredictable, out of control. In this stage, life feels like it is happening to you. You are not the driver. You are the passenger, and the ride is rough. Your relationships suffer because you are too reactive. You snap at people who do not deserve it. You take things personally that were not meant that way. You create conflict because your emotions are running the show, and your emotions do not care about logic, fairness, or long-term consequences. Your stress is constant because you have no way to regulate it. Every challenge feels like a crisis. Every setback feels like a disaster. You are always on edge, always overwhelmed, always one trigger away from falling apart. Your confidence is non-existent because you do not trust yourself. You do not trust that you can handle your emotions. You do not trust that you can navigate challenges without breaking down. So you avoid. You play small. You stay safe. This is stage 1. And if this is where you are right now, I need you to hear this. You are not stuck here. You are not broken. You are not beyond help. You are simply operating from patterns that were built a long time ago. And those patterns can be changed. Stage 2 is the aware state. This is where transformation begins. This is the first shift, the first breakthrough. In the aware state, you are still reactive. You still feel the emotions intensely. You still get triggered. But now, you notice. You see the pattern as it is happening. You recognize the trigger before it fully consumes you. You catch yourself in the middle of the spiral and think, here I go again. This might not sound like much, but it is everything. Because awareness is the first step to change. You cannot change what you cannot see. And now you are starting to see. You notice that criticism makes you defensive. You notice that rejection makes you spiral. You notice that stress makes you shut down. You notice the tightness in your chest, the speed of your thoughts, the tension in your body. You gain seconds. Just seconds. A tiny gap between what happens and how you respond. Not enough to change your response yet, but enough to see it coming. In this stage, you start to understand yourself. You start to identify your triggers. You start to recognize the stories you tell yourself, the fears that drive you, the patterns that keep you stuck. Your relationships start to shift because you are taking responsibility. You still react, but now you apologize. You still overreact, but now you acknowledge it. People start to trust you more because you are no longer blaming them for your emotions. Your stress is still high, but you are starting to see it for what it is. Not reality, not truth, just your nervous system responding to perceived threat. Your confidence grows slightly because you are no longer completely at the mercy of your emotions. You are starting to understand them. And understanding is the beginning of control. This is stage 2. And if this is where you are on the right path. You are building the foundation. Keep going. Stage 3 is the grounded state. This is where the real power begins to emerge. This is where you stop being reactive and start being responsive. In the grounded state, you can pause, you can breathe, you can create space between what happens and how you respond. And in that space, you can choose. Someone criticizes you, and you feel the initial sting. But instead of reacting immediately, you pause. You take a breath. You ground yourself. You ask, is this true? Is this useful? How do I want to respond? And then you choose. You choose to listen. You choose to reflect. You choose to let it go. You choose to respond from your values, not from your wounds. Someone rejects you, and you feel the hurt. But you do not spiral. You acknowledge the feeling. You let it be there. You remind yourself that rejection is redirection. You remind yourself that your worth is not determined by someone else's decision. You feel the emotion without being consumed by it. Something stressful happens, and you notice your body starting to react. But you interrupt the pattern. You breathe deeply. You ground your feet into the floor. You bring yourself back to the present moment. You remind yourself that you can handle this, and you move forward with clarity instead of panic. This is the grounded state, and it feels like coming home to yourself. In this stage, life no longer feels like it is happening to you. You feel like an active participant. You feel like you have agency. You feel like you can navigate challenges without falling apart. Your relationships deepen because you are no longer reactive. You can stay present during conflict. You can listen without defending. You can communicate your needs without attacking. People feel safe with you because you are no longer unpredictable. Your stress decreases significantly because you have tools. You know how to regulate. You know how to come back to center. Challenges still arise, but they do not consume you. Your confidence grows strong because you trust yourself now. You trust that you can handle your emotions. You trust that you can face discomfort without breaking. You trust that you are capable. This is stage 3. And if this is where you are, you have done the work. You have built something real. But there is one more stage, one more level. Stage 4 is the untouchable state. This is where everything shifts. This is where mental resilience becomes your default. This is where you no longer have to try. You just are. In the untouchable state, nothing shakes you. Not because you do not feel, but because you are so grounded in who you are that external events no longer define your internal state. Criticism comes and it slides off. You hear it. You consider it. If it is useful, you integrate it. If it is not, you let it go. Either way, it does not touch your sense of self. You know who you are, and someone else's opinion, whether positive or negative, does not change that. Rejection happens, and it does not define you. You feel the disappointment, but you do not take it personally. You understand that rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It is simply a mismatch, a redirection. A closed door that means an open door is somewhere else. Failure occurs and it doesn't break you. You see it as information, as feedback, as part of the process. You all learn, you adjust, you move forward. You do not spiral into shame or self-doubt. You stay steady. Stress arises and you meet it with calm. Not because nothing bothers you, but because you have trained your nervous system to stay regulated under pressure. You can think clearly in chaos. You can make decisions when emotions are high. You can lead yourself and others through difficulty with grace. This is the untouchable state, and it feels like freedom. In this stage, you move through life with quiet confidence. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need constant validation. You do not need everyone to like you or agree with you or approve of you. You are solid within yourself. Your relationships are the healthiest they have ever been because you show up fully. You are present. You are authentic. You are neither reactive nor avoidant. You can handle intimacy and conflict with equal composure. Your stress is manageable because your baseline is calm. Challenges arise and you handle them. You do not make them bigger than they are. You do not catastrophize. You stay grounded in reality. Your confidence is unshakable because it is no longer dependent on external circumstances. It comes from within, from knowing yourself, from trusting yourself, from having walked through fire and come out stronger. This is stage 4, and this is where you are going. But here is what you need to understand. This is not about perfection. You will not arrive at stage 4 and stay there forever without ever slipping back. Growth is not linear. You will have good days and hard days, days when you feel untouchable and days when you feel fragile. And that is okay. That is human. That is real. The goal is not to never feel. The goal is to no longer be controlled by what you feel. The goal is progression, not perfection. And you are already on the path. Every moment of awareness, every pause, every breath, every choice to respond instead of react, every time you stay present in discomfort, every time you choose yourself, you are moving forward, from reactive to aware, from aware to grounded, from grounded to untouchable. This is your journey, and it starts now. Now that you know the path, you need the tool that will carry you forward. Because understanding the stages is not enough. Knowing where you are going is not enough. You need something practical. Something you can use right now, in the moment, when your emotions are rising and your mind is spinning and everything in you wants to react. You need a technique that stops emotional overwhelm in its tracks, a method that creates space between what happens and how you respond. A tool that gives you back control when you feel like you are losing it. This is that tool. This is the foundation of everything that follows. This is the anchor that will hold you steady when the storm is raging. It is called the anchor technique. And it has 3 steps. 3 simple steps that you can use anywhere, anytime, in any situation. 3 steps that will transform how you experience your emotions and how you move through the world. Let me walk you through it. Step 1 is name it. When you feel triggered, when the emotion starts rising, when you feel that familiar tightness in your chest or that rush of heat to your face or that sinking feeling in your stomach, pause. Just for a second. Just long enough to name what you are feeling. Say it out loud if you can. Say it in your mind if you cannot. But name it. Specifically. Clearly. I feel anxious. I feel rejected. I feel angry. I feel hurt. I feel overwhelmed. I feel shame. Not I am anxious. Not I am rejected. Not I am angry. I feel. Because the emotion is not your identity, it is something you are experiencing, and naming it reminds you of that distinction. This might seem too simple to matter, but it is one of the most powerful interventions in emotional regulation. And the science backs this up. When you name an emotion, you activate your prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, decision-making, and impulse control. It is the part of your brain that can think clearly, assess situations accurately, and choose responses wisely. When you do not name the emotion, when you just feel it without labeling it, your amygdala stays in control. This is the part of your brain responsible for detecting threat and triggering survival responses. It is fast, reactive, and not particularly concerned with accuracy or nuance. It just wants to keep you safe, and its version of safety is fight, flight, or freeze. But the moment you name the emotion, you shift the balance of power. You engage the prefrontal cortex. You bring your rational brain online. And when your rational brain is online, your emotional brain calms down. Studies show that simply naming an emotion reduces its intensity. The act of labeling creates distance. It turns the emotion from something that is happening to you into something you are observing. And observation gives you power. So step 1 is name it, pause, notice what you are feeling, and say it. I feel anxious. Step 2 is ground it. Now that you have named the emotion, you need to bring yourself back into your body. Because when you are overwhelmed, you are living entirely in your head. Your thoughts are racing. Your stories are spinning. Your mind is catastrophizing, replaying, analyzing, predicting. And your body is just along for the ride, flooded with stress hormones, tense with stored energy, disconnected from the present moment. You need to reverse this. You need to drop out of your head and into your body. You need to ground yourself in physical sensation. So place your attention on something tangible, something real, something happening right now in this moment. Your breath is the easiest place to start. Notice it. Feel it. Follow it as it moves in and out. Do not try to change it. Do not force it to be deeper or slower. Just notice it. The cool air entering your nose, the rise and fall of your chest, the pause at the top of the inhale, the release of the exhale, or place your attention on your feet. Feel them on the ground. Notice the pressure, the weight, the connection between your body and the earth beneath you. Press your feet down slightly. Feel the stability, the support, or focus on your hands. Notice the temperature, the texture of your skin, the sensation of your fingers touching each other or resting on your lap. Clench your fists gently, and then release. Feel the difference. It does not matter which physical sensation you choose. What matters is that you shift your attention from your thoughts to your body, from the mental storm to the physical present. This is called grounding, and it works because your nervous system cannot be in two places at once. It cannot be spinning in fear and grounded in sensation at the same time. When you bring your attention to your body, you pull yourself out of the mental spiral. You anchor yourself in the now, and in the now, there is no catastrophe. There is no threat. There is just this moment, this breath, this body, this floor beneath you. So step 2 is ground it. Shift your attention to something physical. Breathe, feel your feet, notice your hands. Come back to your body. I feel anxious, and I am here, right now, in this moment, breathing, grounded, safe. Step 3 is choose it. Now that you have named the emotion and grounded yourself in your body, you have created space, a gap, a pause between stimulus and response. And in that pause, you have power, the power to choose, not what you feel. You do not get to choose that. The emotion is already there. It is already moving through you, and trying to suppress it or ignore it or pretend it is not there will only make it stronger. But you do get to choose what you do with it. You get to choose how you respond. You get to choose who you want to be in this moment. So ask yourself this question: what version of me do I want to be right now? Not what does my emotion want me to do? Not what does my fear or my anger or my hurt want me to do? What version of me do I want to be? Do I want to be the version of me that reacts from fear, or the version that responds with courage? Do I want to be the version of me that lashes out in anger, or the version that speaks with clarity and strength? Do I want to be the version of me that shuts down in shame, or the version that stands tall in self-respect? Do I want to be the version of me that spirals into anxiety, or the version that takes one calm, grounded step forward? This is not about pretending you do not feel what you feel. This is not about faking it, or putting on a mask, or forcing yourself to be something you are not. This is about accessing the part of you that exists beyond the emotion, the part of you that has values, vision, and strength, the part of you that knows who you want to be and can choose to act from that place, even when the emotion is screaming at you to do something else. So step 3 is choose it. Ask yourself, what version of you do I want to be right now? And then act from that identity, not from the emotion. I feel anxious. I am here, breathing, grounded, and I choose to move forward with calm and courage. This is the anchor technique. Name it, ground it, choose it. 3 steps that create space, clarity, and control. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Imagine you receive an email. It is harsh, critical, maybe even unfair. You read it and your chest tightens immediately. Your thoughts start racing. How dare they? This is so unfair. They do not understand. What if everyone thinks this about me? What if I lose my job? What if I am not good enough? You feel the heat rising in your face. You want to fire back a defensive response. You want to justify yourself, explain yourself, defend yourself. Your fingers are already hovering over the keyboard. But instead of reacting, you pause. You name it. I feel attacked. I feel defensive. I feel angry. You ground it. You take a breath. You feel your feet on the floor. You notice the tension in your shoulders and you let them drop. You take another breath. You choose it. What version of me do I want to be right now? The version that reacts defensively and makes this worse, or the version that responds with professionalism and clarity? You choose the latter. You step away from the computer. You give yourself 10 minutes. You come back when you are calm, and you write a response that is measured, clear, and professional. Not because you are suppressing your anger, but because you are choosing not to let your anger control you. That is the anchor technique in action. Or imagine you are in a conversation with someone you care about. They say something that triggers you, something that hits a wound. Your immediate impulse is to shut down, to withdraw, to go cold, to protect yourself by closing off. But instead, you pause. You name it. I feel hurt. I feel like I am not being hurt. You ground it. You take a breath. You feel your body in the chair. You notice your hands. You stay present. You choose it. What version of me do I want to be right now? The version that shuts down and creates distance, or the version that stays open and communicates honestly? You choose to stay. You say, I need a moment. You breathe. And then you say, when you said that, I felt hurt. Can we talk about it? That is the anchor technique, saving your relationship. Or imagine you are about to step into a high-pressure situation. A presentation, a difficult conversation, a performance. Your heart is pounding, your palms are sweating, your mind is spinning with all the things that could go wrong. But instead of letting the anxiety take over, you pause. You name it. I feel anxious. I feel scared that I will mess this up. You ground it. You plant your feet. You take 3 deep breaths. You feel the ground beneath you. You remind yourself that you are here, present, capable. You choose it. What version of me do I want to be right now? The version that is consumed by fear? Or the version that walks in with confidence and presence? You choose confidence. You straighten your shoulders. You take 1 more breath. And you walk in. That is the anchor technique, giving you your power back. This is not suppression. This is regulation. You are not ignoring the emotion. You are not pretending it does not exist. You are not bypassing it or stuffing it down or forcing it away. You are acknowledging it, naming it, feeling it, and then choosing how it moves through you. Because emotions are energy, and energy has to go somewhere. If you do not direct it, it will direct you. If you do not regulate it, it will dysregulate you. But when you use the anchor technique, you are taking the reins. You are saying, I feel this, and I am choosing what happens next. This is your foundation. This is the tool you will return to again and again. In moments of stress, in moments of conflict, in moments of fear, in moments when your old patterns want to take over, name it, ground it, choose it, practice this, use it, make it yours, because this is how you begin to build mental untouchability. Not by avoiding emotions, but by mastering them. The anchor technique is your foundation, but a fortress is not built on a single stone. You need more than 1 tool. You need a full arsenal, a collection of techniques and practices that work together to deepen your resilience, expand your capacity, and strengthen your mental untouchability from every angle, because different moments require different tools, different challenges require different approaches, and the more tools you have, the more equipped you are to handle whatever life throws at you. So let me give you the rest of your arsenal. These are advanced tools, reinforcements, practices that take what you have already learned and amplify it. Each one builds on the foundation of the anchor technique. Each one adds a new layer of strength, and together they create something powerful, something unshakable. Let me introduce them one at a time. The first tool is cognitive reframing. Your thoughts create your reality. Not the objective reality of what is actually happening, but the subjective reality of how you experience what is happening. 2 people can go through the exact same situation and have completely different experiences because they are thinking completely different thoughts about it. And most of your thoughts are automatic. You do not choose them. They just appear, fully formed, convincing, and you believe them without question. Someone does not text you back, and your automatic thought is, they are mad at me. They do not like me anymore. I did something wrong. You make a mistake at work, and your automatic thought is, I am incompetent. Everyone thinks I am a failure. I am going to get fired. You get rejected, and your automatic thought is, I am not good enough. No one will ever want me. There is something fundamentally wrong with me. These thoughts feel true. They feel like facts, but they are not facts. They are interpretations, stories, distortions, and they are making you miserable. Cognitive reframing is the practice of catching those automatic thoughts and questioning them, challenging them, replacing them with something closer to truth. It is not about positive thinking. It is not about pretending everything is fine when it is not. It is about accuracy, about seeing reality as it actually is instead of through the distorted lens of fear, shame, or past wounds. So when the thought appears, "They hate me," you pause. You ask, "Is that true? How do I know that is true? What evidence do I actually have?" And usually, the evidence is thin. Maybe they did not respond the way you wanted. Maybe they seemed distant. Maybe they criticized something you did. But none of that means they hate you. That is your interpretation, your story. So you reframe. You replace the distortion with something more accurate. I do not know what they think, and I do not need to. Their opinion of me does not define my worth. Or when the thought appears, "I am going to fail," you pause. You ask, "Is that true? Have I failed before and survived? Do I have skills and resources that can help me succeed? Is failure actually the end of the world?" And you reframe, "I might fail. And if I do, I will learn from it and try again." Failure is not fatal. It is feedback. This is cognitive reframing. And it is one of the most powerful tools you have because it changes the story. And when you change the story, you change how you feel. And when you change how you feel, you change how you act. You are not denying reality. You are seeing it more clearly. You are removing the distortion and replacing it with truth. Practice this. Every time you notice an automatic thought that is making you feel worse, pause. Question it. Reframe it. Over time, your brain will start doing this automatically. The distorted thoughts will lose their power, and you will move through life with more clarity, more confidence, more peace. The second tool is exposure by choice. Your nervous system learns through experience, and right now, it has learned that discomfort is dangerous. That rejection will destroy you. That conflict is unbearable. That stress is a threat. It learned this because every time discomfort appeared, you avoided it. Every time rejection loomed, you pulled back. Every time conflict arose, you shut down. Every time stress mounted, you escaped. And avoidance teaches your nervous system that the thing you are avoiding is genuinely dangerous, that you need to be protected from it, that you cannot handle it. So your nervous system stays hypervigilant. It keeps you small, it keeps you safe, it keeps you stuck. The only way to change this is through exposure, controlled, intentional exposure to the things you fear. Not because you want to suffer, but because you want to teach your nervous system a new lesson. The lesson that discomfort will not destroy you, that you can handle more than you think, that you are stronger than your fear. This is called exposure by choice, and it is how you build tolerance. You start small. You do not throw yourself into the deep end. You wade in gradually. You choose situations that are uncomfortable but manageable. Situations that stretch you but do not break you. You ask for something knowing you might get a no. You express an opinion that might be unpopular. You have a difficult conversation you have been avoiding. You take a risk on something that matters to you even though you might fail. And when you do these things, something shifts. You feel the discomfort. You feel the fear. But you do not fall apart. You survive it. You get through it. And your nervous system takes note. Oh, that was uncomfortable. But I handled it. I am okay. And the next time, the discomfort is a little less intense. The fear is a little less loud. Your tolerance is a little higher. This is how you expand your capacity. not by avoiding what scares you, but by deliberately, intentionally moving toward it, in small, manageable doses, again and again, until what once felt unbearable becomes simply uncomfortable, and what once felt uncomfortable becomes normal. Exposure by choice builds resilience from the inside out. It trains your nervous system that you are capable, that discomfort is not danger, that you can handle hard things. So choose your exposures. Start small. Be consistent. And watch your confidence grow with every uncomfortable moment you face and survive. The third tool is the observer mindset. Most of the time, you are not just experiencing your thoughts and emotions. You are identifying with them. You are becoming them. When the thought appears, "I am a failure," you do not observe it as a thought. You experience it as truth. You become the failure. When the emotion of anxiety arises, you do not observe it as a temporary sensation. You experience it as your entire reality. You become the anxiety. This is called fusion. You are fused with your thoughts and emotions. There is no separation, no distance, no space. You and the thought are one. You and the emotion are one. And when you are fused, you have no power, because you cannot change what you are. You can only be swept along by it. The observer mindset is the practice of creating separation, of stepping back, of watching your thoughts and emotions as if they are weather patterns moving through the sky of your awareness. You are not the thought. You are the one noticing the thought. You are not the emotion. You are the one feeling the emotion. This is a subtle but profound shift, and it changes everything. When you observe a thought instead of believing it, it loses its grip. It becomes just a thought. Not truth, not reality, just mental activity. When you observe an emotion instead of becoming it, it loses its intensity. It becomes just a sensation. Not your identity, not who you are, just energy moving through your body. So practice this. When a thought appears, notice it. Say to yourself, "I am having the thought that I am not good enough." Not "I am not good enough." I am having the thought. When an emotion arises, notice it. Say to yourself, "I am noticing anxiety in my chest." Not "I am anxious." I am noticing anxiety. This creates distance, and distance creates power, because now you are the witness, the observer, the awareness that holds the experience without being consumed by it. You are the sky. And the thoughts and emotions are the clouds. The clouds come and go. They move through. They change. But the sky remains. Clear, spacious, untouched. This is the observer mindset. And it is one of the most liberating practices you will ever learn. The fourth tool is somatic release. Everything we have talked about so far has focused on the mind, on thoughts, on emotions, on cognitive strategies and mental techniques. But you cannot think your way out of a body that is holding years of stored tension, unprocessed stress, and unresolved trauma. Your body keeps the score. Every experience you have ever had, every emotion you have ever felt, every threat you have ever perceived, leaves a mark. Not just in your mind, in your body. Tension in your shoulders, tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach, a clenched jaw, shallow breathing, a racing heart. This is not just stress, this is stored energy. Energy that was activated during moments of threat and never fully discharged, because you could not fight, you could not flee, you could only freeze, and the energy stayed stuck. And as long as that energy is stuck in your body, your mind cannot fully rest, your nervous system cannot fully calm. You will always feel on edge, always feel tense, Always feel like something is wrong even when nothing is happening. Somatic release techniques are tools that discharge this stored energy, that complete the cycle, that allow your body to finally let go. The simplest technique is shaking, literally shaking your body, your arms, your legs, your whole body. Let it be loose, let it be messy, let it move in whatever way it wants to move. Animals do this instinctively after a threat. They shake, they tremble, they discharge the energy, and then they go back to grazing as if nothing happened. You can do this too. Put on music if it helps. Set a timer for 5 minutes and shake. Let your body release what it has been holding. Another technique is breath work, intentional, controlled breathing that shifts your nervous system from stress to calm. Try box breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, repeat for 5 minutes. Or try extended exhale breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 6 or 8 counts. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system and signals to your body that it is safe. Movement is another powerful tool. Walking, running, dancing, yoga. Anything that gets your body moving and allows energy to flow through you instead of staying stuck. And touch can help too. Placing your hand on your chest, giving yourself a hug, gentle tapping on your collarbones or the sides of your thighs. Physical touch signals safety to your nervous system. These techniques might feel strange at first. They might feel too simple to matter. But do not underestimate them. Your body is holding more than your mind realizes. And giving it a way to release that tension will change how you feel more than any amount of thinking ever could. Now here is the key. These tools work best when they work together. Cognitive reframing changes the story. Exposure by choice builds tolerance. The observer mindset creates distance. Somatic release completes the cycle. You reframe the distorted thought. You expose yourself to the uncomfortable situation. You observe the emotion without becoming it. You release the tension from your body. Layer by layer, tool by tool, practice by practice. You do not need to master all of them at once. You do not need to do everything perfectly. You just need to start. One tool at a time, one day at a time. Gradual integration, steady progress. Pick the tool that resonates most with you right now. Practice it. Make it yours. And when you are ready, add another and another. This is how you build your mental arsenal. This is how you deepen your resilience. This is how you become untouchable. You now have the tools to handle the storms when they come. But tools are not enough, because mental untouchability is not just about surviving the hard moments. It is not just about what you do when you are triggered, overwhelmed, or under pressure. It is about what you do every single day, in the quiet moments, in the ordinary moments, in the moments when nothing is wrong and everything is fine. This is where real strength is built, not in reaction, in preparation, not in crisis, in consistency, not in the moment, in the accumulation of moments over time. You cannot build a fortress in the middle of a battle. You build it before the battle comes, stone by stone, day by day, with intention, discipline, and care. This is the shift from reactive tools to proactive foundations, from managing your emotions to designing your life, from surviving to thriving. Let me show you how. The first foundation is non-negotiable routines. Your day does not start when you open your eyes. Your day starts the night before, with how you end your day, with what you do in the hours before sleep, with the state you put your nervous system in before you close your eyes. And your day is shaped by what you do in the first hour after you wake, before you check your phone, before you dive into the chaos, before the world makes its demands on you. These two windows, the beginning and the end of your day, are sacred. They are yours, and they set the tone for everything that follows. Start with your morning. This is when you have the most power. This is when your mind is fresh, your willpower is strong, and your nervous system is still calm. Do not waste this time scrolling, reacting, or consuming. Use it to ground yourself, to center yourself, to set the intention for the kind of day you want to have. Create a morning ritual. It does not have to be long. It does not have to be complicated. But it has to be yours, and it has to be consistent. Maybe it is 10 minutes of silence, sitting, breathing, being present. No phone, no noise, just you and the quiet. Maybe it is movement, a walk, stretching, yoga, something that wakes up your body and gets energy flowing. Maybe it is sunlight. Step outside, let the light hit your face. This signals to your brain that it is daytime. It regulates your circadian rhythm. It boosts your mood. It grounds you in the natural rhythm of the world. Maybe it is journaling, 3 pages of stream of consciousness, getting the noise out of your head and onto paper so it does not follow you through the day. Maybe it is gratitude. 3 things you are grateful for. Not because gratitude is magic, but because it trains your brain to notice what is working instead of only what is broken. Whatever it is, make it non-negotiable. This is not something you do when you have time. This is something you make time for. Because this is how you start your day, from a place of strength instead of reactivity. And at night, create a routine that signals to your nervous system that it is safe to rest, that the day is done, that you can let go. This might be a warm shower, dimming the lights, turning off screens an hour before bed, reading something calming, stretching, breathing, reflecting on the day not with judgment, but with curiosity. What went well today? What did I learn? What do I want to release before I sleep? These routines are not indulgent. They are essential. They are the bookends that hold your day together. They are the rituals that remind you that you are in control, that you are choosing how you start and how you end, that you are not just reacting to life, you are shaping it. The second foundation is environmental design. You cannot build mental strength in a toxic environment. You cannot become untouchable if you are surrounded by people who trigger you, drain you, or keep you small. You cannot protect your peace if everything around you is chaos. Your environment shapes you. The people you spend time with, the content you consume, the spaces you inhabit, the energy you allow into your life. If you want to become mentally untouchable, you have to design an environment that supports that transformation. Not perfectly, not overnight, but intentionally, gradually. One choice at a time. Start with the people. Look at the relationships in your life. Who lifts you up? Who drains you? Who reflects the person you are becoming? Who keeps you stuck in the person you used to be? You do not owe anyone your presence if their presence harms you. You do not have to keep people in your life out of obligation, guilt, or fear of being alone. You are allowed to choose who gets access to you. You are allowed to protect your energy. This does not mean you cut off everyone who challenges you or disagrees with you. It means you remove the people who are consistently toxic, the ones who criticize without care, the ones who take without giving, the ones who drain your energy and give nothing back, and you make space for the people who see you, who support you, who believe in you, who challenge you to grow but do not tear you down. Surround yourself with people who reflect the version of yourself you are becoming, not the version you used to be. Next, look at what you consume. What are you putting into your mind every single day? What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you scrolling through? If you are consuming content that makes you feel inadequate, anxious, angry, or hopeless, you are poisoning your own well. You are feeding your mind a diet of negativity and wondering why you feel mentally weak. Curate what you consume. Unfollow accounts that make you feel worse. Stop watching news that amplifies fear. Stop reading content that triggers comparison. Choose media that educates, inspires, or brings you peace. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Protect it, guard it, direct it toward what builds you up, not what tears you down. And finally, look at your physical environment, the space you live in, the space you work in. Is it chaotic or calm? Is it cluttered or clear? Does it support your goals or distract you from them? You do not need a perfect space, but you need a space that feels safe, that feels like yours. A space where you can breathe, where you can think, where you can rest. Clear the clutter. Let in the light. Create a corner that is just for you, a place where you can sit in silence, or move your body, or work on what matters. Your environment should support your transformation, not work against it. The third foundation is self-trust. You cannot become mentally untouchable if you do not trust yourself. If you constantly break promises to yourself. If you abandon your own boundaries. If you say you are going to do something and then do not do it. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you send a message to your subconscious. I am not reliable. I cannot trust myself. My word does not matter. And that erodes your confidence from the inside. It weakens your sense of self. It makes you doubt your own capability. Because if you cannot trust yourself to follow through on small things, how can you trust yourself to handle big things? Self-trust is built through action, through keeping the small promises you make to yourself, through honoring your own boundaries, through following through on commitments, even when it is hard. You say you are going to wake up at a certain time. Do it. You say you are going to move your body today. Do it. You say you are going to stop scrolling before bed. Do it. Not perfectly. Not every single time, but consistently. More often than not. Enough that you start to believe your own word. And when you set a boundary, honor it. When you say no, mean it. When you say this is not acceptable, do not accept it. When you say I need space, take the space. Your boundaries are not suggestions. They are not negotiable. They are the lines that protect your peace, your energy, and your well-being. And if you do not honor them, no one else will. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build evidence. Evidence that you are capable, that you are reliable, that you are worthy of your own trust. And over time, that evidence accumulates. It becomes a foundation, a knowing, a deep, unshakable confidence in your own ability to handle your life. This is self-trust. And it is not something you think your way into. It is something you act your way into. One small promise kept at a time. The fourth foundation is rest. This might be the most radical one of all, because we live in a culture that glorifies hustle, that celebrates exhaustion, that treats rest like a luxury instead of a necessity, that measures your worth by your productivity, and you have internalized that message. You believe that rest is lazy, that stillness is wasted time, that if you aren't doing something, you are falling behind. But here is the truth. Rest is not weakness. Rest is the foundation of resilience. You cannot build mental strength on a depleted nervous system. You cannot think clearly when you are exhausted. You cannot regulate your emotions when your body is running on empty. You cannot show up as your best self when you are burned out. Rest is not optional. It is essential. And choosing rest in a world that demands constant productivity is an act of resistance. It is an act of self-respect. It is a declaration that your well-being matters more than your output. Rest does not just mean sleep, though sleep is critical. It means stillness, quiet, doing nothing, letting your mind wander, letting your body recover, giving yourself permission to simply be instead of always doing. It means taking breaks during the day, stepping away from your work, going for a walk, sitting in silence, staring out the window, not because you have earned it, but because you need it. It means saying no to things that drain you, even when they seem important. It means protecting your energy like the finite resource it is. It means giving yourself permission to rest without guilt, without justification, without feeling like you have to be productive every single moment of every single day. Rest is not the reward you get after you have done enough. Rest is the foundation that makes everything else possible. So rest, intentionally, unapologetically, consistently. These are the foundations: morning and evening routines, environmental design, self-trust, rest. They are not glamorous. They are not quick fixes. They are not the kind of things that give you instant results or dramatic breakthroughs. But they are the architecture of an unshakable life. They are the choices you make every single day that accumulate into strength, into stability, into mental untouchability. You do not become untouchable in a moment. You become untouchable in the accumulation of aligned choices, day after day, week after week, month after month, until strength is not something you try to have. It is something you are. This is how you build a life that supports your transformation. This is how you create the conditions for resilience to flourish. This is how you make mental untouchability your default state. One choice at a time, one day at a time, one foundation at a time. You have the tools, you have the foundations. Now you need to understand why they work. Because belief matters. When you understand the science behind the transformation, when you see the logic, when you know that what you are doing is not just hopeful thinking, but grounded in neuroscience and research, you trust the process more. You commit harder. You stay consistent even when results feel slow. So let me show you what is happening inside your brain and body as you do this work. Let me show you the mechanics of transformation. Let me prove to you that change is not just possible. It is inevitable when you apply these principles. This is not magic. This is biology. And biology is on your side. Let me start with the most important concept you need to understand: neuroplasticity. For a long time, scientists believed that the brain was fixed, that you were born with a certain set of neural pathways, and that was it. Whatever patterns, habits, and responses you developed in childhood were permanent. You were stuck with them. There was no changing who you fundamentally were. But that belief was wrong. In the last few decades, neuroscience has proven something revolutionary. The brain is not fixed. It is plastic, malleable, constantly changing, constantly reorganizing itself based on your experiences, your thoughts, your behaviors. This is called neuroplasticity, and it means that the brain you have right now is not the brain you are stuck with. Every time you think a thought, you strengthen the neural pathway associated with that thought. Every time you practice a behavior, you reinforce the neural circuitry that supports that behavior. Every time you repeat a pattern, you make that pattern more automatic. This is how habits form. This is how skills develop. This is how your brain becomes wired for whatever you do most often. If you spend years reacting with anxiety, your brain becomes wired for anxiety. The neural pathways associated with fear, hypervigilance, and catastrophic thinking become strong, fast, and automatic. But if you start practicing regulation, if you start using the anchor technique, if you start reframing your thoughts and observing your emotions, you are building new neural pathways associated with calm, clarity, and control. And the more you practice, the stronger those pathways become, until eventually regulation becomes your default. Not because you are forcing it, but because your brain has literally rewired itself. Old patterns can be unlearned. New patterns can be built. This is not theory. This is neuroscience. Now let me show you what is happening in specific parts of your brain. The amygdala is your brain's alarm system. It is a small, almond-shaped structure deep in your brain that is responsible for detecting threat and triggering your survival responses. Fight, flight, freeze. When the amygdala perceives danger, it activates your stress response. It floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline. It speeds up your heart rate. It sharpens your focus on the threat. It shuts down non-essential functions like digestion and rational thinking. It prepares you to survive. This system is incredibly useful when the threat is real and immediate, when you need to run from danger or defend yourself. The amygdala saves your life. But when you have been living in chronic stress, when your nervous system has been conditioned to perceive threat everywhere, the amygdala becomes hyperactive. It is constantly firing, constantly on alert, constantly treating minor stressors like life or death situations. This is what keeps you anxious, reactive, and overwhelmed. Your amygdala is running the show, and the amygdala does not care about nuance, context, or rationality. It only cares about survival. But here is the good news. The techniques you have learned calm the amygdala. When you name your emotion, when you ground yourself in your body, when you take deep breaths, you are sending a signal to your amygdala that you are safe, that there is no immediate threat, that it can stand down. And when the amygdala calms, another part of your brain comes online. The prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is your brain's control center. It is responsible for rational thinking, decision-making, impulse control, and emotional regulation. It is the part of your brain that can assess situations accurately, weigh options, and choose responses wisely. When your amygdala is hyperactive, your prefrontal cortex is offline. You cannot think clearly. You cannot make good decisions. You are operating purely from survival instinct. But when you practice regulation, when you pause and breathe and choose, you strengthen your prefrontal cortex. You build the neural connections that allow it to stay online even under stress. You train your brain to respond from reason instead of react from fear. This is what mental untouchability looks like at the neural level. A calm amygdala and a strong prefrontal cortex. A brain that can feel emotion without being controlled by it. A brain that can perceive challenge without perceiving threat. And the more you practice, the stronger this becomes. not because you are suppressing your emotions, but because you are literally changing the structure and function of your brain. Now let me introduce you to another critical piece of the puzzle, the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in your body. It runs from your brain stem down through your chest and abdomen, connecting your brain to your heart, lungs, digestive system, and other vital organs. Its job is to regulate your nervous system. Specifically, it is the main component of your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest, digestion, and recovery. It is the counterbalance to your sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for stress, activation, and survival. When your vagus nerve is strong and functioning well, you have what is called high vagal tone. And high vagal tone is one of the most important markers of emotional resilience. People with high vagal tone recover from stress faster. They regulate their emotions more effectively. They stay calm under pressure. They have better physical health, better mental health, and better relationships. People with low vagal tone struggle with all of these things. They stay stressed longer. They have a harder time calming down. They are more reactive, more anxious, more prone to illness. So how do you improve your vagal tone? How do you strengthen this nerve and increase your resilience? Breathwork is one of the most effective methods. Specifically, slow, deep breathing with an extended exhale. When you breathe slowly and deeply, you activate your vagus nerve. You send a signal to your body that it is safe. You shift from sympathetic activation to parasympathetic calm. This is why the grounding step of the anchor technique works. You are not just distracting yourself. You are physiologically changing your nervous system state. Cold exposure is another powerful tool. Cold showers, ice baths, or even splashing cold water on your face activates the vagus nerve and increases vagal tone over time. It trains your body to stay calm in the face of discomfort. It builds resilience at the physiological level. And connection, genuine human connection, also strengthens the vagus nerve. Warm, supportive relationships, physical touch, eye contact, and feeling seen and understood all activate the vagus nerve and increase your capacity for regulation. This is why environmental design matters. This is why surrounding yourself with people who support you is not just nice, it is physiologically necessary for building resilience. Now let me explain one more concept that ties all of this together. Stress inoculation. Stress inoculation is the process of exposing yourself to manageable levels of stress in order to build your capacity to handle bigger stress in the future. Think of it like a vaccine. A vaccine exposes your immune system to a small, controlled dose of a pathogen so that your body learns how to fight it. The next time you encounter that pathogen, your immune system is ready. It knows what to do. It responds quickly and effectively. Stress inoculation works the same way. When you intentionally expose yourself to controlled, manageable stress, your nervous system learns that it can handle discomfort, that stress is not fatal, that you can survive it and come back to baseline. This is why exposure by choice works. You are not just facing your fears. You are training your body to stay regulated under pressure. You are building evidence that you are capable, and every time you do this, your window of tolerance expands. You can handle more. You can stay calm longer. You can recover faster. Research backs all of this up. Cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most validated forms of psychotherapy, is built on the principles of cognitive reframing and behavioral exposure. Studies show that it is highly effective for anxiety, depression, and trauma. Mindfulness practices, which include breath awareness, body scanning, and the observer mindset, have been shown to reduce amygdala activation, increase prefrontal cortex activity, and improve emotional regulation. Somatic therapies, which focus on releasing stored tension from the body, have been shown to help people process trauma, reduce chronic stress, and restore nervous system balance. Everything you are learning is not just my opinion. It is not just philosophy. It is grounded in decades of research, thousands of studies, and the lived experience of millions of people who have used these tools to transform their lives. This is real. This works. And it will work for you. But here is what you have to understand. Change takes time. You did not develop your current neural pathways overnight. They were built over years, decades, through repeated experiences, repeated thoughts, repeated patterns, and you will not rewire them overnight either. This is not a quick fix. This is a gradual process, a reshaping, a rebuilding. But every single time you practice, you are changing your brain. Every time you use the anchor technique, you are strengthening your prefrontal cortex and calming your amygdala. Every time you reframe a distorted thought, you are weakening the old neural pathway and building a new one. Every time you breathe deeply, you are activating your vagus nerve and increasing your resilience. Every time you expose yourself to manageable stress, you are expanding your capacity. You are not just thinking differently. You are not just feeling differently. You are literally becoming different. At the neural level, at the physiological level, at the cellular level. The brain you have is not the brain you are stuck with. Every practice, every choice, every moment of regulation is reshaping your neural architecture. You are rebuilding yourself. Neuron by neuron, breath by breath, choice by choice. And that is not just hopeful, that is science. You know the science. You understand the tools. You have built the foundations. But none of that matters if you cannot apply it when life gets hard. Because the real test of mental untouchability is not what you do on calm days. It is not what you do when everything is going well and you feel grounded and nothing is triggering you. The real test is what you do when the pressure is on, when the stakes are high, when your emotions are raw and your old patterns are screaming at you to react, when everything inside you wants to defend, attack, shut down, or fall apart. This is where transformation becomes real. This is where theory becomes practice. This is where you prove to yourself that you are not the person you used to be. So let me walk you through the moments that matter most, the moments when life tries to break you. And let me show you how to stay untouchable when you are publicly criticized. This is one of the hardest moments to stay grounded. Because criticism, especially public criticism, activates every wound, every insecurity, every fear that you are not good enough, that people see through you, that you are being exposed. Your immediate impulse is to defend yourself, to justify, to explain, to prove them wrong, or to shut down completely, to disappear, to never show your face again. But neither of those responses will serve you. Defensiveness makes you look weak. Withdrawal makes you look guilty. And both keep you stuck in shame. So instead, you use the anchor technique. You name it. I feel attacked. I feel humiliated. I feel exposed. You ground it. You take a breath. You feel your feet on the floor. You notice the tension in your body and you soften it. You bring yourself back to the present moment. You remind yourself that you are safe, that this is uncomfortable but not dangerous. You choose it. What version of me do I want to be right now? The version that reacts from shame and makes this worse, or the version that responds with dignity and composure? You choose dignity. Then you reframe the narrative. You question the automatic thoughts. They think I am a fraud. Is that true? Or is that my fear talking? They are criticizing my work. Does that mean my work has no value? Or does it mean this particular person didn't connect with it? You separate the criticism from your identity. You remind yourself that feedback, even harsh feedback, is not a verdict on your worth. It is one person's perspective, one moment in time, one data point in a much larger story, and then you respond. Not immediately, not while the emotion is still hot, but after you have grounded yourself, after you have chosen who you want to be. You respond with professionalism, with clarity, with grace. You acknowledge what is valid. You stand firm on what is not. You do not apologize for existing. You do not shrink. You do not attack. You stay untouchable. Not because you do not feel the sting, but because you refuse to let the sting control you. When you fail, failure feels like the end of the world. It feels like proof that you were never good enough, that you should not have tried, that you are not cut out for this. Your immediate impulse is to spiral, to replay everything you did wrong, to catastrophize what this means about your future, to decide that this failure is evidence of a fundamental flaw in who you are. But failure is not identity. Failure is information. So you observe the emotion. You notice the shame, the disappointment, the fear. You do not try to suppress it. You do not try to logic it away. You let it be there. You allow it to move through you. You say, I feel disappointed. I feel like I let myself down. I feel scared that this means something bigger about me. And then you separate yourself from the feeling. You become the observer. You watch the emotion like a wave. It rises, it peaks, it falls, and you remain. The witness, the awareness, the sky holding the clouds. You remind yourself of the truth. Failure is not a reflection of my worth. Failure is part of the process. Every person who has ever succeeded has failed more times than I can count. This is not the end. This is data. This is feedback. This is redirection. You ask yourself, what did I learn? What can I do differently next time? What is this failure teaching me? And then you move forward, not with your head down, not with shame, but with humility, with curiosity, with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that failure is not fatal. It is simply part of the path. You stay untouchable, not because you do not care, but because you refuse to let one failure define your entire journey. When you are rejected, rejection cuts deep, because it feels personal. It feels like someone looked at you, weighed you, and found you lacking. It feels like proof that you are not enough, that you will never be chosen, that you are fundamentally unlovable, undesirable, unwanted. Your immediate impulse is to internalize it, to take it as evidence that something is wrong with you, to spiral into self-doubt and self-blame. But rejection is not a verdict. Rejection is redirection. So you ground yourself. You take a breath. You feel your body. You remind yourself that you are here, that you are whole, that your worth is not determined by someone else's decision. You name the feeling. I feel rejected. I feel like I am not good enough. And then you reframe it. This person did not choose me. Does that mean I am unworthy? Or does it mean we were not a match? Does it mean I have no value? Or does it mean my value is not for everyone? You remind yourself that rejection is not about you. It is about fit, about timing, about circumstances you cannot see or control. You remind yourself that what is meant for you will not pass you by, that the right opportunity, the right person, the right path will find you when you are ready. And the ones that do not choose, you are simply clearing the way for the ones that will. You allow yourself to feel the hurt, but you do not let the hurt become your identity. You do not let it stop you from trying again, from putting yourself out there again, from believing that you are worthy of what you want. You stay untouchable, not because rejection does not hurt, but because you refuse to let rejection convince you that you are less than you are. When you are overwhelmed, overwhelm is the feeling that there is too much, too many tasks, too many decisions, too many demands, too many emotions, and you cannot handle any of it. Your immediate impulse is to freeze, to shut down, to avoid everything because you do not know where to start, or to frantically try to do everything at once and end up doing nothing well. But overwhelm is not a sign that you cannot handle your life. It is a sign that you are trying to hold too much at once. So you return to your breath. You close your eyes if you can. You take 3 deep breaths. Slow, intentional, grounding. You remind yourself that you do not have to do everything right now. You only have to do the next thing. You simplify your focus. You ask yourself, what is the one thing I can do right now? Not the 10 things, not the 100 things, the one thing. And you do that one thing. You give it your full attention. You move slowly. You give yourself permission to take your time, to not rush, to not force. And when that one thing is done, you ask again, what is the next thing? Step by step, breath by breath, task by task. You remind yourself that moving slowly is not the same as failing, that taking your time is not the same as falling behind, that rest is not weakness, that you are allowed to be human. You stay untouchable, not because you do everything perfectly, but because you refuse to let overwhelm convince you that you are incapable. This is grace under pressure. This is the ability to stay calm when everything inside you wants to panic, to stay composed when everything inside you wants to react, to stay intentional when everything inside you wants to spiral. This is not about suppressing emotion. This is not about pretending you do not feel what you feel. This is about mastering your emotions, about feeling them fully and choosing your response wisely. This is about remembering who you are in the moments when it is hardest to remember, about accessing your highest self when your wounded self is screaming for control, about standing firm when everything around you is trying to knock you down. And here is what you need to understand. Pressure reveals who you have become. It reveals whether the work you have been doing is real, whether the tools you have been practicing are integrated, whether the foundations you have been building are solid. Pressure does not create who you are. It reveals who you are. And now you are becoming someone who does not break, someone who feels deeply but is not controlled by feeling, someone who faces challenge without falling apart, someone who stands in the storm and remains still. This is not about perfection. You will have moments when you react, when you lose your center, when you forget everything you have learned and fall back into old patterns. And that is okay. That is human. That is part of the process. What matters is what you do next. Do you spiral into shame? Or do you acknowledge the moment, learn from it, and choose again? Do you let one reaction define you? Or do you remind yourself that growth is not linear and keep moving forward. You are not trying to never feel pressure. You are learning to stay grounded in the middle of it. You are not trying to never make mistakes. You are learning to recover from them faster. You are not trying to become perfect. You are learning to become unshakable. And every time you apply these tools under pressure, you prove to yourself that you are capable, that you are strong, that you are becoming the person you set out to be. Pressure does not break you anymore. It reveals you. And what it reveals is someone who is mentally untouchable. You have walked through the fire, and you are still here, not just surviving, thriving, not just holding on, standing firm, not just reacting, choosing. You are no longer the person who started this journey. That version of you, the one who was fragile, reactive, controlled by every trigger and every emotion, is gone. Not because you destroyed them, but because you outgrew them. You are no longer trying to become mentally untouchable. You are mentally untouchable. This is not arrogance. This is not delusion. This is the truth that lives in your bones now. The truth that has been forged through practice, through consistency, through every moment you chose regulation over reaction, clarity over chaos, strength over surrender. Let me show you what has changed. Look at your relationships. They are different now. Not because the people in your life have changed, but because you have changed. You no longer react from wounds. You no longer take everything personally. You no longer create conflict where there is none. You no longer need constant reassurance or validation. You no longer shut down when things get hard. You can sit in discomfort without running. You can listen without defending. You can communicate your needs without attacking. You can hold space for someone else's pain without making it about you. People feel safe with you now. Because you are safe. You are no longer unpredictable. You are no longer a storm they have to navigate. You are steady, grounded, present. And the people who could not handle your growth, the ones who needed you to stay small so they could feel big, they have fallen away. Not with drama, not with blame, but with a quiet knowing that you are no longer a match. And in their place, new people have arrived. People who see you, who respect you, who challenge you to grow without tearing you down. People who reflect the version of yourself you have become. Your relationships are deeper now, more honest, more real, because you are no longer performing. You are no longer pretending. You are simply being. And being is enough. Look at your confidence. It is different now. Not loud, not showy, not dependent on external validation or approval. It is quiet, solid, unshakable. You know who you are. You know what you are capable of. You know that you can handle whatever comes, not because life will be easy, but because you have walked through hard things and come out stronger. You no longer need everyone to like you. You no longer need to prove yourself. You no longer need to be perfect. You are enough as you are. And that knowing sits in your chest like a stone, heavy, grounded, immovable. You take risks now. Not reckless risks, but brave ones. You put yourself out there. You try things that scare you. You apply for the job. You have the conversation. You create the thing. You show up fully. And when it does not go the way you hoped, you do not crumble. You do not spiral. You do not take it as evidence that you are not enough. You take it as information, as feedback, as redirection. You trust yourself now. You trust that you can handle failure. You trust that you can handle rejection. You trust that you can handle discomfort. And that trust gives you freedom. Freedom to try. Freedom to fail. Freedom to be fully, messily, beautifully human. Look at your peace. It is different now, not the absence of challenge, not the absence of stress, but the presence of something deeper. You wake up without the weight of anxiety pressing on your chest. You move through your day without the constant hum of fear in the background. You go to sleep without replaying every interaction, analyzing every word, searching for proof that you are not enough. You still feel, you still care, you still experience emotions, but they no longer own you. They no longer control you. They move through you like weather. Some days are sunny, some days are stormy, but you remain. The sky, the awareness, the stillness that holds it all. You have created a life that supports your peace. You have designed your environment. You have curated your relationships. You have built routines that ground you. You have set boundaries that protect you. And you honor those things. Not perfectly, but consistently. Because you know now that peace is not something you find. It is something you build. And you have built it. This is who you are now. You are someone who feels deeply but is not controlled by emotion. You are someone who stands firm when others crumble. You are someone who trusts yourself, protects your peace, and moves through life with quiet, unshakable power. You are someone who can be criticized without being destroyed. You are someone who can fail without being defined by it. You are someone who can be rejected without believing you are unworthy. You are someone who can sit in discomfort without running. You are someone who can face challenge without falling apart. You are someone who can hold complexity without needing everything to be simple. You are mentally untouchable, not because you do not feel, but because you are no longer controlled by what you feel. And now, everything is possible. The opportunities you were too afraid to take, you will take them now. The risks you were too scared to embrace, you will embrace them now. The relationships you were too guarded to build, you will build them now. The challenges you were too fragile to face, you will face them now. Not because life has become easier, but because you have become stronger. You will step into rooms that once intimidated you, and you will belong there. You will speak your truth even when your voice shakes. You will walk away from what does not serve you, even when it is comfortable. You will choose yourself, even when it disappoints others. You will build a life that is aligned with who you are, not who you think you should be. A life that reflects your values, your vision, your truth. A life that is yours, and you will do it all from a place of strength, not fear, not desperation, not proving, just being, just living, just moving forward with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they can handle whatever comes. This is what mental untouchability gives you, not a life without challenge, a life where challenge does not break you, not a life without pain, a life where pain does not define you, not a life without fear, a life where fear does not control you. You have everything you need now, the tools, the foundations, the understanding, the practice, and here is the truth you need to carry with you. Mental untouchability is not a destination. It is not a place you arrive and stay forever. It is not a finish line you cross and never have to run again. It is a daily practice, a choice you make again and again, a commitment you renew every single day. Some days will be easy. You will feel grounded, clear, strong. You will move through challenges with grace. You will feel untouchable. Other days will be hard. You will feel triggered. You will forget your tools. You will react instead of respond. You will feel fragile. And that is okay. That is human. That is real. What matters is that you know the way back. You know how to return to center. You know how to ground yourself. You know how to choose again. You do not have to be perfect. You just have to keep practicing, keep choosing, keep showing up for yourself. Every time you use the anchor technique, you are choosing strength. Every time you reframe a distorted thought, you are choosing clarity. Every time you expose yourself to discomfort, you are choosing growth. Every time you honor your boundaries, you are choosing self-respect. Every time you rest, you are choosing resilience. These choices accumulate, day by day, moment by moment, choice by choice, until strength is not something you try to have. It is something you are. You are no longer who you were. You are someone who has walked through the fire and been forged into something stronger. Someone who has faced their patterns, their wounds, their fears, and chosen to transform them. Someone who has done the work, built the foundations, and become unshakable. You are mentally untouchable, and that is not something anyone can take from you. Not criticism, not rejection, not failure, not stress, not pressure, not life. You have built something inside yourself that the outside world cannot touch, a fortress, an inner architecture, a solid, grounded, unshakable core. And from that place, you will build a life that is worthy of the person you have become. This is not the end. This is the beginning of living as the person you were always meant to be. Strong, grounded, free. You have everything you need. Now go live it